What the fuck is up, gamers? It's your boy The Goods, and we are here for episode number 46, I want to say, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. In the last episode, we played game, and in this episode, we're going to continue playing game. I do need to really quickly set up something important that is not relevant for you guys to know what it is, but something needs to be going on in the background. So,
vehicles entering a highway will need to get up to speed.
You heard nothing. Let's go ahead and turn. There we go. Okay. Yeah, there's a certain thing that has to get done. Holy shit! I don't want to put my hoodie on. I feel like, and that's like there. You know what I mean? I'm really getting there. But anyways, we need to converse with Miko Toba. Turn the volume down a little. About the Reaper.
Father, do you know about the so-called Reaper of the Bailey?
I've heard rumors. Some members of the judiciary explained it all to me yesterday. Of course, when I was a visiting student here in London, the Reaper was yet to emerge.
Right, he didn't appear until after that case when the visiting students had already returned home.
Lord Van Zieks, who was in the dock today. That was Barak, the younger brother of Clint Van Zieks, I believe.
That's right. He's known throughout London as the Reaper, as you've heard. But the truth is, it wasn't him behind all of those mysterious deaths. It was somebody else.
I see. So what you're saying is, there's been a professional killer at work here.
Exactly. Someone by the name of Asa Shin, in fact.
I beg your pardon? Did you say Asa Shin? You mean the Giselle Brett woman who was responsible for killing my great friend?
Oh no, a friend of yours was killed.
Professor Miko Toba, I think perhaps we shouldn't discuss this right now. Because the friend the professor is talking about is Dr. John H. Wilson. And that's not something we want Iris to find out about. Not like this, anyway. Jesus Christ. Okay, whatever.
I just remembered something. Biscuits. This hotel has the most delicious looking biscuits.
That was rather out of the blue.
She's doing this deliberately.
I think I'll go and see if I can purchase some. I wonder, would you like to come too, Iris? Oh, yes! You just tried to leave me behind. You're not going to get whatever on me.
So that young girl is called Iris Wilson, is she?
Yes, that's right.
And she's the author of all those adventure stories starring the great detective Sholmes. But the name of the credited author isn't Iris, is it? It's Dr. John H. Wilson.
Yes, I know. That's the name of her father, you see.
Her father? Dr. John H. Wilson. I was rather deeply indebted to the man for all the kindness he showed me during my time in London. That's why I was keen to reciprocate and invite him to the Imperial Yume University 4 years ago.
But he was murdered last year by Giselle Brett. Why? Why would the hand of the Reaper stretch all the way to Japan? Iris knows nothing about that case, but it seems very likely that the victim, Dr. Wilson, was her father.
Well, I can't say that we ever spoke about his family, so I don't know if he had a daughter or not. But I think I can say with some certainty that he was never the great detective's partner.
So it could have been another Dr. Wilson, you think?
Well, John and Wilson are both common names after all. Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure.
I got sidetracked. Apparently, the Pokemon Go thing I was gonna do Saturday, I thought it was a bunch of Rayquaza, and I was so excited because I was like, oh my god, I need Rayquaza candy. So it's one research, and then you can pay for the second research. Wow, motherfucker.
Still, it's probably best not to mention this to the young lady until we can be sure.
That's what we thought, yes.
We're back with the cinnamon biscuits.
Ooh, they smell delicious, Iris.
I think cinnamon will go very well with the tea they serve here. Don't you, Susie? Yes, I'm sure you're right, Iris.
Like, how do we even go about figuring that shit out?
I haven't seen Judge Jigoku for a while, have you?
Guilty!
But that guilty's still ringing in my ears.
No, now that you mention it, I haven't seen him either since this morning. I suppose since the symposium's opening was postponed, he'll have gone to explore the Great Exhibition.
That reminds me of something you mentioned yesterday. About Judge Jigoku having once been in the dock himself.
Yes. It was, all tied up with that accursed trial.
The closed trial of Kazuma's father.
Seishiro was trying to mitigate Genshin's guilt, so he took to the stand to testify. But he got a little carried away and, actually managed to break the witness stand.
Oh my!
He also said some contemptuous words about the British Empire, for which he was charged.
Oh dear, although it's worryingly easy to imagine him doing that.
Well, it was all alright in the end. He was acquitted and we returned home to Japan together.
Thank goodness.
Yes, talking of Seishiro, I have a copy of the photograph we all took together here yesterday. Please.
He's so nervous.
Oh, what a lovely picture.
It certainly seems to shout, "We've arrived here in Britain." I do wonder, like, why the fuck they put that into evidence.
None of us had any idea what was coming when we took that, did we?
No, that's so true.
The favor. So, you mentioned a favor you'd like to ask me.
Well, this fateful trial that you're fighting. One way or another, it'll be over before long. And when it is, I'd like you to accompany me back to Japan.
You want me to do...
What? Father, what's the meaning of this?
Now, Susanoo, you should understand. You've seen how our courts work firsthand. Japan's judicial system is in its infancy, especially when it comes to defense.
Oh, you mean...
The Supreme Court of Judicature is in desperate need of a good defense lawyer. As soon as possible. Really quite urgently, in fact.
But I've not even been in London a year yet.
I've read all of Susanoo's reports. I'm well aware of your extraordinary talents. And having seen you in action with my own eyes earlier today, there's no question. You, Naruhodo, are precisely the man our country needs.
So, you'd be leaving then, Rudo? But then, what am I supposed to do, Father?
You came here to serve as Asogi's judicial assistant.
Oh yes, she's supposed to be Kazuma's assistant.
Our government is still in the process of deciding how best to deal with the situation, though. You've always chosen your own path, Susanoo, and I trust your judgment. In this matter also.
Father!
Please, the pair of you, don't look so downcast. It's merely a suggestion, you understand? A hope, if I'm honest, but I won't force you. All I ask is that you consider it and come to a decision by the time this trial concludes.
Yes, alright.
You won't leave, will you, Rudo?
Aww. The thought hadn't even crossed my mind. Up until now, I've just been trying to do what I believe to be Kazuma's will. But it turns out that he's still alive, so where does that leave me? Obviously, this is following parallel to the other game.
Well, if you'll excuse me now,
We have to save him. We became a defense attorney to save our prosecutor friend.
I need to telegram government ministers and the Japanese police with this information about Asa Shin.
Of course, Father, thank you.
I look forward to next month's installments, Miss Wilson.
Oh, good, and please do come to Baker Street sometime, won't you? We'd love to entertain you.
I would be delighted. The best of luck tomorrow, Naruhodo. And give my suggestion your full consideration, won't you?
Yes, I will. Going back home. You know, we have like parents and shit. We're only like 20.
Kazuma-sama has always meant a great deal to my father. I'm sure he'd love the chance to meet with him and talk to him about all of this.
Yes, no doubt. Asashin. Of course, it's so obvious.
Of course, it's so obvious! How could I have neglected to consider the possibility before now?
Mr. Sholmes?
Hey! Where have you been? Why, I joined you all for tea, of course. What an extraordinary question. I didn't notice you at all. No matter, no matter. Anyway, to more pressing concerns, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, yes?
I must dispatch a telegram to your country at once. It is a matter of much urgency.
To Japan, you mean?
Tell me, to whom can I entrust the task? Quickly now, who? Well... My father's just now left to send a telegram to the Imperial Police Bureau of Japan himself. I see. Well, he looked reliable enough for a bearded fellow. I don't think what father sports could be considered a beard, Mr. Sholmes. There's not a moment to lose. Kindly ask your trusty unshaven father to see this is sent. I will, but what is it? No questions at this time, if you please, Mrs. Otto. All we can do is pray that for once my deduction is awry.
Doesn't that imply that your deductions are normally correct, Mr.
No then! You may be surprised to learn that I am a very busy man. I certainly have no time to hide behind settees and eavesdrop on other people's conversations.
So that's what joining us for tea meant.
I leave the sending of this in your hands then, my dear fellows.
Wait a minute, Mr. Sholmes?
He just sort of ran off, didn't he? At quite a pace.
And left the unpaid bill for his tea behind, too. Yeah, I ain't paying that shit. Report him to the constable!
I must catch up with father at the telegraph office at once. And I'll run and call us a cab straight away.
And there was me thinking everyone would be clamoring to pay Mr. Sholmes' bill. Alright, so I guess we just move straight to the hospital bed, is where it tells us to go next. God, my, like, chest is, like, so... It's so firm now, you know what I mean? Like yeah, there's, like, a little cuppage, you know what I mean? But, like, it's so fucking firm. It's crazy.
This is the ward where Mr. Vigil was brought, apparently.
To be frank, I'm a little worried about seeing him again. The lawyer. Hello again.
Are you feeling better now, Mr. Vigil?
Yes, thank you. Somewhat better. I'm so sorry to have caused you to... I mean, it was because of me. If I hadn't exposed your secret and forced you to remember things you'd obviously tried to forget. The prosecutor was here until a few moments ago, too. You just missed him. Oh, Kazuma beat us to it. He said much the same as you. He was very apologetic. But the truth is, I brought all this upon myself. Please don't think like that. Keeping it from Evie, my wife, all these years, I've carried such a sense of guilt. But that's not the worst of it. Over time, I obviously came to deceive myself as well.
You mean about your dismissal?
Looking back now, I'm beginning to think that perhaps Inspector Gregson didn't stumble across me by accident at all. I mean, he compensated me so generously for acting as his stand-in. He was clearly concerned for my well-being and doing what he could to help. So perhaps Gregson knew exactly what had become of Mr. Vigil all along then. I'm sure this is just desserts for 10 years of lies and deception, but... It wasn't me that helped the professor escape 10 years ago! It wasn't me! I swear it! I swear it's true!
Oh, Mr. Vigil.
I'm sure you'd rather not dredge up even more from your past at this time, but if possible, could you tell us exactly what really happened? I want to. I need to get all this off my chest. I just want someone to tell me what I should have done.
Not really too keen on us being halfway through the episode and we're only here, but whatever, it's fine.
Inspector Gregson was obviously engaged in a special operation of some sort. He was investigating something that even Scotland Yard couldn't know about.
Details of the Reaper's marks, yes.
It was when he had to carry out those investigations that I would take his identification and impersonate him.
You'd pretend to be the inspector and carry out investigations on his behalf?
Oh no, never. A common street peddler couldn't possibly carry out a proper police investigation. All I would do is go to the specified location and make a little hoo-ha. Just something to leave an impression, so everyone there would think a detective called Gregson was here.
So that's what you would do that's what you were doing on the day prior to the incident?
Yes. He asked me to make an appearance at the park on Lime Street for the Red-Headed League event. So as usual, I flashed the inspector's identification around and was very vocal about my presence.
But then you were taken prisoner by these red-headed fraudsters.
Yes.
So you would always make a point of showing Gregson's identification and generally being loud?
That's what the inspector asked me to do, yes.
Well, that's one way of becoming a legendary detective, I suppose. Not a good one, though.
And as you know, I suffered this bruising around my neck at their hands. But the following day, they kept their word and released me.
Without returning the inspector's identification to you, however.
We had arranged to meet in the Fresno Street room at 5 that day so I could report back to the inspector. But at the agreed time, that's when I heard the gunshot. It was at midnight on 17th June 10 years ago. That was the time scheduled for the execution.
But the professor's execution never actually took place, did it?
Or rather, the execution itself must have been used to affect the plan of escape. I hardly dare imagine what a chilling plan it was.
Barclay was renowned for being the highest security prison in the country. Everything that went in or out of the place was searched multiple times. But there was one notable exception, or rather, one notable loophole, something that was never questioned.
I have a feeling I know what that loophole was now. The coffins into which the bodies of the executed convicts are placed, correct?
Yes. Once the coroner had confirmed the death of a condemned convict, the body was taken in its coffin for immediate burial in the Lowgate Cemetery just behind the prison. The chief warder first had to sign the necessary papers. And after that, no member of staff was permitted to touch the coffin containing the body again. When executions took place, only the executioner and the coroner were permitted inside the chamber.
Fuck, I spilled water.
I would wait in the adjacent room for the word the condemned convict was dead. On that occasion, I had that confirmation. Once I had that confirmation, I went into the mortuary to find a lone coffin as usual. The procedure was that I would sign the paperwork having checked the coffin, then nail it shut. But for some reason that day, the coffin was already nailed shut.
No!
I didn't think anything of it at the time. I assumed that my deputy must have checked the coffin and nailed it shut before I arrived.
So, you mean the coffin contained...
Yes, I can only imagine that Asogi, having escaped his execution somehow, was alive inside the coffin. The coffin was then taken out through the main gates and deposited in the Lowgate Cemetery. I want to check something real quick. Interesting.
Presumably there wouldn't have been enough air inside to breathe for long.
So in the early hours following the burial, someone dug up the coffin again to set Genshin free.
But in the end, he was fatally shot in the graveyard anyway. What on earth really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night, I wonder?
I'm afraid I really don't know. All I can say with certainty are two things. Asogi couldn't possibly have escaped that way without help from somebody working in the prison. And that somebody was not me. Obviously you knew the man then. The professor, I mean. Genshin Asogi. Yes, I remember him well, in fact. Would you mind telling us what you know? Well, having been condemned to death as he was, any contact I had with the man was short, obviously. After that trial, which was carried out behind closed doors, attended by only elite members of the judiciary, they called for his execution to be carried out at the earliest possible opportunity. The outcome of the trial was set from the beginning, wasn't it?
It was a time of delicate diplomacy when Britain and Japan were in the process of signing an important treaty. That meant that this potentially destabilizing case had to be dealt with swiftly and discreetly.
The man had less than a week in total. As I was the chief warder, I oversaw his short stay in the cells until his final hour. I remember being struck deeply by his noble character and incredible resilience. What do you mean exactly? He was a killer of many men, but he was always quiet and polite. He was a gentleman and a man of intellect. In fact, I couldn't bring myself to believe what he'd done, so I asked him one day. Those 5 members of the aristocracy whose lives were taken, were you really responsible? I am guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life, yes. The following day, the closed trial took place, and the verdict was no surprise. Guilty. That night, when he was brought back to his cell, I saw something. Something unusual. Something unusual? What? The last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. What? As I said, it was on the night following his trial after he'd been found guilty. I was doing the rounds of the cells, and when I looked into Asogi's, I noticed he seemed to have a sheet of paper in his hand. Ah, his last will and testament then, presumably. As soon as he noticed me, he hurriedly shoved it behind his back.
But why did you find that so unusual? Isn't it normal for a man to pen a will when he knows his death is nigh?
Yes, that's true, but there were special conditions to Asogi's incarceration, you see. What sort of conditions? Well, even though he was held in a cell designed for condemned inmates, he was allowed to keep his personal effects with him with one exception. Really? He was allowed his things? That is unusual, certainly. Of course, he'd been convicted of killing 5 members of the aristocracy, but at the same time, he was a guest in our country from the Empire of Japan. The powers that be were determined that his final days shouldn't be needlessly uncomfortable.
And what was the exception you mentioned to the personal effects he was allowed?
That's the point. He wasn't permitted to have writing materials. Specifically, no pens or paper.
So, he was prevented from leaving any written record of what had happened to him?
Yes, that was the long and short of it. I've no idea where he obtained that paper. Any writing materials would have been confiscated from him upon his incarceration. As I said, he hid the paper behind his back and then he pleaded with me. What did you just hide behind your back? Please turn a blind eye. This is my lifeline. But you know it's against the rules. You're the only person who's seen if you just agree to keep quiet. Alright then, but what's on that paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have now. How can a will be a weapon? So I decided to pretend I'd seen nothing and let him keep his will. But then later, it just seemed to vanish without a trace. What? What do you mean it vanished?
It would seem that isn't the end of the story of this mysterious will.
Then we're gonna have to click another piece. I was the only person who saw Asogi's will, but somehow it disappeared. It was after Asogi's execution.
Which was actually an elaborate jailbreak.
The warders gathered up Asogi's possessions that were in his cell. They were all to be sent back to his family home in Japan, you see.
To poor Kazuma-sama.
And you're saying it wasn't anywhere to be found among his personal effects? The will, I mean. And that's right, though I didn't search through them myself. But Governor Caden was livid. He was screaming,
How can I have dissipated completely?
That doesn't quite make sense though, does it?
in what way?
Well, we understood that only Mr. Vigil was aware of the will's existence. In which case, how did the prison governor know to look for it?
Oh yes, you're right.
I really don't know how he knew, but it certainly seemed as though he knew of the will's existence from the outset. Only he didn't refer to it as a will. What he said was... the Asogi Papers.
The Asogi Papers?
I really can't tell you anything of the subsequent events. Because, well, of what happened.
Your dismissal and the way you blocked it all from your memory.
I'd forgotten all this until today. I don't suppose it's relevant to the case, though.
Well, anyway, thank you very much for sharing it with us, Mr. Vigil. We're very grateful.
I'm afraid there's really little more I can tell you. My wife Evie will be here shortly, so I do hope I don't appear rude, but...
No, not at all. Thank you again.
But what will become of you now?
Well, impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, of course. I imagine that once I'm fully recovered, I shall be arrested.
I'm so sorry.
Don't be, please. This was all my own doing. I always knew that this day would come.
Well, I wish you well. Goodbye, Mr. Vigil.
Before you go, there's just one thing!
Oh, yes? What is it?
The Asogi Papers. I'd be very grateful if you make no mention of the things I told you about them.
Presumably for good reason.
It's my understanding that their very existence is a closely guarded secret. If it became known that I'd remembered, well, it could be rather troublesome, I think.
I understand. Some sort of will that Genshin Asogi penned just before his death, which the man himself claimed was his last weapon. I wonder, perhaps that had something to do with his plan to escape. If there's anyone who might know more about a document than Kazuma's father left behind...
It would be Mr. Vigil's governor! Then we know precisely where we must go! Back to Barclay Prison!
Interesting. Okay, I think for now, let me prepare myself for the next episode. I'm going to end the episode, I'm going to save the game. Thank you so much for watching. In the next episode, we will talk to Governor Caden, and we will move on some, and we are only about, like, halfway through all the bullshit. So, fucking awesome. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!